Assalamu alaikum to all the chai lovers and biscuit fans. I'm your host, Anzar Anwar, and welcome back to another Chai and Biscuit podcast. Today we are traveling to one of the most unique and most diverse places in the entire world, India. This is the most diverse by people, by culture, by food, by language. Today we get to learn about it from a unique perspective. Someone who was born in America, first generation American Indian. He has visited the country before but not lived there. He has learned everything about the country through his parents, through his friends, through his family members. He is someone I call one of my best friends, a brother, Ashad Rathod, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, man?
How are you, bro?
Good. How about you? Thank you for having me here, man.
Thank you for being here. I know you're a busy man, but we finally got you on the pod.
Hey, man, what can I say? Life is busy.
That's good. I remember we were talking about being on the podcast for a while, but I wanted to get a unique perspective just because when we first met back in Abington, I always thought you were just came from India, fresh out of the boat. Turns out you were born in America. It was shocking to me just because the way you talk, the way you are. We had a great connection. From the start, I met you and I was like, oh, this is my person. You just built that good connection with someone. But as our friendship grew, I learned that you were born here. But that was a bit shocking to me personally, just because the way you are, how you react. So how's that like, man? How are you so, I guess, so not
Traditional?
Yeah, traditional. What's the secret?
So I grew up in a traditional household. So when I grew up, my mom would speak our native language, Gujarati, to us, and my dad would speak English. So I kind of learned both. But actually, throughout middle school, elementary school, a little bit of high school, I actually did not like my traditional ways. It's like every Desi kid that grows up, they're like, oh, I don't like being Indian. Oh, I don't like smelling like curry. People making fun of me, but it's like right when I graduated high school, right? It's a switch, and I mean it's mainly because of my cousins. Because when I grew up with my cousins that came from India, I hung out with them a lot, so I learned a lot more about the culture, how to react, how to act, and honestly, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me because I like being, the Indian person I am, like the traditional person I am, not, being this whitewashed side of things. I kind of like how I am.
So let me ask you, give us a little background on where and when were you born?
So I was actually born in Bryn Mawr Hospital.
Okay.
Down the street from where you live here in December 24th, 1999.
That's awesome. And I want to go start from the beginning. Do you remember when your parents moved here? What was that? Did they tell you stories when they're living in America? Any stories from back then?
Yeah. So when they first moved here, I'm pretty sure they lived in if I'm not mistaken, Bristol, PA. So Bucks County is where they first ever lived when they came here. I don't remember exactly when they came here. My mom came before my dad did.
Okay.
So she came here first. I think she went back, got married, came back here. They used to live in Bucks County first. Then they moved, where I live now, Montgomery County. And no, life was hard for them, they had to work their asses off here. Growing up, it was they had to work 2-3 jobs, take care of my sister, and then I came into the world. So it was hard for them, but alhamdulillah, we're doing good now.
That's awesome. So how was that growing up, knowing that your parents lived in a different country, grew up in a different country, and then you were born here as from I guess from the beginning of school, from kindergarten to all the way even college. How was that would you say you were? Because I feel like you are unique in a way where you are a bridge between two cultures. You have the American side, you also have the Indian side, just through your family and your friends. Like you say, you're quite involved with them. So how is that for your schools look like, or your friends from the beginning to now?
So when I first started school, I had mostly American friends. Mm-hmm. So literally from kindergarten to probably almost all throughout high school, most of my friends were American. So I had that American culture from there. And my traditional culture, my Desi culture, came from home. So all the way growing up, all my friends were, American. So that's where I was kind of oh, I don't like brown people, this, that, the regular stuff that you have as a kid. But then I got into high school. I was still the same way. I feel bad because when I was at one point, when my cousins came from India, I was like, dang, we got more people from India. I don't like this. But they knew they're amazing people. So I'm really glad that I got close with them and I learned more about just my culture and understanding my tradition and everything. So, it was very different. Like I literally made a whole 180. Like I was very American growing up, but then like completely became traditional like the last like I say
Yeah, no,
years.
like I said, when I first met you in college, like like I said, I felt like you were just fresh out of the boat, just recently just got to, coming from India, going to college. That's how I felt. But you were one of my friends that are such a close to their traditions and their values that you can't, if you can't tell the difference between if you're American or you're not. But like you mentioned, you had like a lot of American friends in school and everything. How do you think you brought that kind of American culture, the first generation of American Indian culture back home, where your parents and you had like a bit of a disagreement on things, where you saw the things like this way of from your perspective, and they saw they're from their perspective?
I don't think so. I think they're like my dad especially adapted to the American lifestyle, so he understood certain things, right? So I don't know, I'll say like sleepovers, right? Growing up, being brown, it's hard to go to a sleepover. They don't want you going out to someone else's house at night, but like my dad is adapted to that culture. So when I say I want to go to my friend's house sleep over, he'd let me and he'd be cool with it. So I feel like even though I grew up in like a very American kind of cultural way growing up, there was never like a huge conflict where it's like, there's traditional versus American because my dad was very adaptive to the culture here. So it was actually easier than I would think than most kids.
So
growing up.
I mean that's, I guess, anybody's parents, if more comfortable with the culture or the area or the environment, that makes it easier. So that's great. I mean, like that kind of help you build connection with your father and stuff like that. How I'm pretty sure. So overall, I mean, like let's talk about like you going to India. Like when's the last time you visited India? I know you were born here, but go back to, or if you could remember your first time go to India, how was that like?
Dude, I was like 2 years old, I think, a year or two. My uncle was getting married. That's when I first went. I was like 2 years old. I don't even remember anything.
What's the earliest memory? Like, when's the first time you went and you could remember it? Like, if you could.
I think freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Went for my cousin's wedding. So all I remember from that time, not much, but I'm pretty sure when we went that time, we traveled. So we went to like, where did we go? We went to Taj Mahal. We kind of just took a huge road trip from Gujarat to like all the other states. And what I just remember, that's mainly what I remember, is like the big road trip where we went like everywhere.
So where exactly is home back home?
Ahmedabad. And we live, that's the city where my dad was born in, but we live in a village called Napad.
Okay.
It's like right outside of Anand.
I know like India is quite diverse on different areas. How is, I guess, where you live compared to, I guess, the North India, like where Delhi is or Mumbai? How's that more so different?
I think a big thing is language, right? So we're in the state of Gujarat.
Okay.
So we speak purely Gujarati. Mostly everyone speaks Gujarati there. So like when you go to different states, a whole different language. I feel like dynamic can be different too there. So like that's mainly the big change I could see from like state to state in India.
Would you say, guess, like if you were to go back now, compared to you when the earliest memory you have or the recent trip you went, would you say you were a lot different just because now you are more close to, more connected to the culture than you were, just because you were born here, you didn't have the environment 24/7. Now you, like you mentioned, you have your cousins with you and your family members that just some of them moved from there. So would you say if you were to go back now, you would enjoy it a lot more than you did before?
I think I would enjoy it if I had my people with me, right?
Yeah.
So if my cousins were like, yo, let's go, I'd be down because I'm close with them and I love them. So like, I know I'd have a good time because, they'd be making me travel with them. And I know that would be a good time because I don't have friends there, right?
Yeah.
So if I go myself, what am I doing there? Like, I'm most likely going to be sitting inside because I can't drive. People are busy. But if you go with like a group that, was live there, they grew up there, you just have more fun in general.
Yeah, no, I remember like I took a recent trip after our college graduation, and then going back, it's always fun just because like I have my, I guess, Pakistani friends that still live there from day one. So I went, and it was probably one of the best trips I had in a while, just because it's when you have it, you don't appreciate it enough. When you don't have it, you're like, oh, okay. So when I remember like I moved here when I was 10, and that was like a bit of a culture change, and all that culture change to language change, of a bit of a shocking. Do you think you I know you don't have that experience, but do you think growing up with the language, like you said, your parents were quite on that, it's making you learn their language, or you naturally pick up your mother's first language. Do you think you had a hard time learning any your Gujarati when you first started?
Yeah, I definitely understood,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't speak when I was younger. It took me a while to like actually start speaking Gujarati to a point where I can have a conversation. And again, that's literally my cousins. When they came, I started picking up on things way more faster. When I was younger, I would say stuff and my parents would laugh because they thought it was kind of cute. Because like I don't know what I'm saying. I say some word and they'd be like laughing because like, oh, you're saying it wrong. But growing up, it was like I mostly spoke English. Like even my mom, like I would speak Gujarati but English both combined.
So you know how well there's a stereotypical thing or just a normal thing where we all have accents, but would you say, like, from your perspective, right? From your perspective, born here, when like some other person with Gujarati talk or someone different language, does the stereotypical thing kicks in where like you didn't understand it at first just because you didn't know the language enough to understand what they were saying when the accent kicked in, but now you understand it regardless of how they're talking just because now you understand the language much better?
I think it was more just so like I didn't know the words, right?
Yeah, okay.
So it doesn't matter how their accent was. It's more so like their words, because they'll say something in Gujarati, and I'm just sitting there like, how do I respond to that? I don't even know how to respond to that. But then as I grew up, like if you hear me speak Gujarati, I speak like I'm like,
oh yeah, no,
actual Indian.
I can vouch for that. This man speaks Gujarati better than a lot of people I know. And then when you get excited or angry, that's when it comes in. That's when it's fully kicked in nonstop. I remember mentioning in we had Anton, one of our friends, and I was telling him like how we were out at dinner one time, and then we all started speaking and saying something in a different language, but we all understood each other. We didn't have to say a word of English, and we just looked at each other and said everything in our own languages, but we had so many similarities of words that we understand like quite a lot. By the way, this man loves, if you are a Bollywood song lover, this man right here, he's the one. He can sing, he can dance to any Bollywood song out there. My man knows every single song.
Bro, exposed me in 4K now. I guess I have to do it for the video now.
Yeah, listen, it's always good to see you, enjoy the dance moves, because then it gets me hyped, gets everybody hyped, and we all get in it.
Hey man, what can I say? That's only with you guys though. My parents haven't seen that yet, They haven't seen that side of me just yet.
Yeah, so I mean, stuff like that, and I feel happy just because now I get to share with that someone. Just because when I moved here, like I said, I didn't have too many of friends where I could connect to on these things, and we now get to do that sometimes. Listen to If You Know You Know, Beba Fast. That's your favorite song.
Where's this Tiak at? That's his thing, bro. Where's this Tiak at? We need him.
Stuff like that we get to connect on. So that's great. Like, growing up, like, did you have that kind of connection here with some people or no? Like you what I'm trying to say, it's like I felt like something was missing just because I came to America, had everything, but it was something like people understood me but never like connected completely to a point where, like, do you think we have that connection where you don't have to say something, we just understand each other enough?
Now, yes. So like when I guess either younger, because dang, I'm 24 now, so saying younger actually means something, right? So when I was younger, I didn't feel like a connection toward like my cousins or like people like when they came from India, my cousin when they came from India, I didn't feel as connected with them because I didn't understand the language that well, nor did I know how to speak English to them because there could be things that I say they don't understand, and I speak really fast when I speak English. Like my parents always say I talk really fast, so it'd be hard for people to understand sometimes. But like as I grew up and as the years went by, I feel like I got to a point where like it could be a little head nod and you just know what someone's saying in our traditional language. Like I can look at you and say something in my head, you will know, even though you speak Urdu.
Yeah.
And I speak Gujarati, there's still similarities to where like we will understand each other.
That's the beauty of it, I guess. That we don't have to say or do something. We just like enough to understand each other. And that's like the best part. Or like I said, those are a lot of things that makes the biggest difference. Like I said, we get to now. I never had to experience. I would never in a billionaire thought that I would get to experience that in America, out of all places. Just because, like I said, growing up here, I didn't have the brown friends, or I get Stacy friends. We'll always say it. So now, I have those, and I get to connect on those, and we enjoy it a lot. When our Friday nights are just like
Yeah.
us just doing the most Stacy's things possible. But that's how we connect, be connected to our cultures, because I think everyone is part of their culture, their background. So that's one way to connect, and it helps me a lot, especially in the past couple of months, where we're just having this fun. That's the best part, and the part of having fun is food. Food is like one of the things we have fun on. How's the food, man? If you were to tell me about food, I know you're a big foodie. We like to go out. Give us thoughts on some of your traditional food, your favorite food, and how's food back home and you travel compared to America. Like, tell us about some. Food is the big thing we have here.
So the traditional like Gujarati food, bro. I know a lot of y'all don't like this, but khichdi curry and some dudhi sak. That for me, something and some papad on the side, it's a whole different game, bro. I look at my mom like, yo, what we making today? She's like, khichdi. I'm like, say less. Like, I don't have an issue with the foods. Like, you'd think, someone that grew up in America will be picky with like their traditional food. You could give me anything. Give me gilora, give me freaking paneer, give me anything, bro. I will eat it. All the Gujarati foods you can give me.
Yeah, no. So I remember coming to your house, and your mom made some food for us.
Bhajia.
Bhajia, oh my god. And then we had some of my other friends with me that have never had that before, and I was just like, oh, say no more. Like, I'm sitting there just munching on that because I'm used to that, and I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this. And especially it's made by a mother, so mom's made, it's like always better than
Always.
anything else. So that taste and the love was there, and I was like, oh my god, like, I haven't had that in a while. So that felt good, just because you won't find something like that around the corner shop or anything. So like stuff like that, and I know we've been going out to a lot of desi places or halal places around our area, Philly, or even we were trying to make a plan to go to New York to just try,
Just
eat
to go
food.
get food.
So stuff like that. I mean, what would you say? Will you be able to eat? I guess if you were to pick your go-to dish, would it be American dish or would it be Gujarati dish?
Go to like we talking like
Like if you're
what do you say?
food,
What do
like
you,
if you go to this, you're like first thing that pops up, you're like, all right, mom, I need, I'm feeling lean, I'm craving this today.
It's a good one. I have a lot of options in my head.
Pick the one thing that comes in your head.
If we're talking about like Gujarati,
Mm-hmm.
you give me khichdi with some chemo
Mm-hmm.
and some curry and papad, I'm set. Because the chemo is the protein. So once I get that protein, I'm chilling. The khichdi got protein, got the carbs. I'm set. I need some curry with it though. If I don't got curry on the side, there is a problem. And
Okay.
I need my papad. So like that would be like my go-to comfort food. Cause it's just you put the ghee in there too, bro, and it's just
My
hits,
man
bro.
needs his papad, yo. So papad is like, if for someone that doesn't know, it's pretty much like a fried dough, and it gets crunchy, and then you just pretty much eat it like any.
As a side.
Yeah, it's like a chip. I would say
It's like a chip.
chips.
It's
Yeah.
like a chip for the white people. You know what I'm saying?
It's like it's like it's pretty much like a chip where you just have it anytime or at nighttime, especially when you have the munchies kicked in or something like that. So it's always good to have that on you. But you mentioned like compared to like when you went back home, like you went to India, when you traveled to India, how was the food there? Like I'm pretty sure it's day and night compared to here, or is that the same?
Would you say like my traditional food that I have here, or would you talk about food here in America?
Well, traditional
compared
food here and then we go out to restaurants and we have some desi food here and there. Would you say that's compared to going back to India? How's that?
I feel like over there, again, I haven't had much outside over there because unfortunately, every time I go there, I get sick. I don't know. It's just probably the atmosphere change,
Yeah.
So when I go there, it's like I know the food's better there. The food just tastes better there. Like
Yeah.
an Indian restaurant here compared to there, you just know. Over there, it's gonna hit because that's like where it's from, where it's originated.
Yeah.
So, but if we're talking about like Gujarati food, my mom makes it here. So like when I go there, it's not really that different. It kind of just like day and night.
Besides your cousin, from being from Gujarat, do you have any other friends that are Gujarati you connect to or sit down with?
Yeah, I mean he's one of our friends in that group, Shub. That's one of my good friends. I also have
Also, let's just say besides Shab, I know he's from Gujarat, but like besides Shab, like growing up, did you had any Gujarati friends you made besides your cousin?
Did I have any in high school?
Or even someone that's close, I guess, like from the part of the culture or the
Yeah,
existing
no,
culture.
I don't. Well, I like again in high school, I didn't really have
Yeah.
like that many friends in general. Most of my friends, if I did, I ran track,
Mm-hmm.
so I just had friends from track team. But like, it was freshman year of college is when I started having more brown Desi friends, and like my first, like one of my first ever friends there was Gujarati. So
Oh, that's
like my friend Drew Barik, he was like one of my first friends. Like he was a day one, like how you guys were like one of you guys. Like he was Gujarati. Then I met Shub, another Gujarati, and just piled on. When he got to Abington, he just met another Gujarati. Like, oh, you too? Where you from? Like, I have my friend
yeah.
Deep.
And then how was that? Look, let's just say like I guess compared to your American friends and compared to you just having like Gujarati friends, like would you say that was like you connected with him differently than everybody else just because he was part of your culture and you a bit better or have experienced some of your culture, compared to others?
I feel like I'm very good at like where I'm at.
Mhm.
I will know how to act. So it wasn't like, oh, I felt more connected just because this person was Indian.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so I just knew. It goes by your vibe, right? Your personality. So an American person can have the same exact personality as a brown person. I would connect to them the same way. So like it wouldn't be like, oh, he's Gujarati. Oh, that's because he's gonna be my friend. Like how brown parents are when they see someone in the Indian store and they look at them and they both stare at each other for a few minutes and then just go like, where you from? Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not like that with me. It's more so like personality based. Like if you match my vibe, then yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
easy.
no, the one thing I always say about you is, you have a great energy around you. That's like one of the reasons like we got connected just because you're always excited, hyped.
That was very
And
random too. It was a Shub's 23rd birthday when we rekindled all of us after
yes.
like years. I don't think I talked to you. I had your number from freshman year of college. I don't think I ever texted you until the day that you needed to come have a ride in my car.
Yeah.
And I just got my car. Never forget, I just got my car.
And yeah, that was
And
the
I was
best
like, yo.
part. But like I said, it was just like all of a sudden that good energy and that we were vibing and everything, and that I was like, oh, that like you mentioned, we rekindle, and that was like the best part, and that's rest is history. And now we've been having fun for the past couple of years now, just going out and just having a sit down, having some chai and biscuits.
Hold on. Before we continue, just gotta let you know one thing. Parla G, please hit my mans up, okay? We need a subscription. Subscription? No, the sponsorship. We need a sponsorship, okay? This is my go-to freaking cracker. Every morning with my cha, I need this.
No, man, no. See, this is the right side of the border. Just because I'm Pakistani and we might have a dispute on the biscuits, but if you know the super original. I've been having it since I was a kid.
Don't listen to him.
But
Parle-G's the best, man.
It's like it's the same.
You have it in your household though. Look,
see,
do I have that in my household? I do not have that in my household. But you have the greatest Indian cracker in your household.
See, listen, you just don't know it yet. Once you know it, he will know it. It's one of those things.
I'm sorry, but I've had them before.
It's the same. No, that's the best part. We get, just because our cultures and we have a lot of similarities. Just like I said, it's just across the border. I always say, there's always the right side of the border, and we get to have fun with that stuff. Where there's a lot of similarities in the food, and that helps us to connect more and talk about more things. And that was like one of the best part. And I know we are just to push each other around, and which I'm pretty sure other people do it too. Like I'll say something, I'm like, yo, Pakistan is better than this, and then it's like back home if you said it's like always a dispute. But like it's funny that all my friends are like, most of them are Indian. They're my best friends are closest to are Indian. I don't really have any close Pakistani friends more so than Indian, just because there's everywhere. The brown people are just everywhere, especially So that's something. It's the best part that I get to experience. Through my experience, I get to connect with other people, and that's kind of the whole thing is about experiencing and connecting with one another. So overall, man, like tell me about like a little bit about your family, if you could, just give a generic and thing where like if you were to get together, how is that like because normally like when we get together, especially on a wedding or even like on a it's always just like people, there's music playing, there's all good energy going around. Like that's the one thing I think we have common in our culture. When we get together, we are like, we don't need things. Everyone's just always moving, everyone's like always, especially like on weddings. I know you love your sister got married and you got to experience that one of the weddings, and you said that was awesome. Just give us like a over generic, how's that like?
Loud laughter, and that's kind of the best way to put it. Very loud, but in a good way, and a lot of laughing. That's literally the best, like just all good vibes. That's the best way I can put it for you.
Yeah, no, that's like I mean, I don't want to get into it, but shout out to all the Pakistani weddings. I feel like they're better than everybody
Bro,
out there.
you have not been to an Indian wedding. Wait till you come to my wedding. You're gonna forget about everything about Pakistani weddings.
See,
bro.
I can't wait. I will love to come and what we call it, Bhangra. Like, if you know,
That's a Punjabi thing, isn't
yeah.
it?
Well, I am Punjabi, so like
So yeah, Pakistani Punjabi.
yeah. So I have that.
Unfortunately, the right side border of Punjabi, but it's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't
But
come
see,
to this border.
these are the little disputes we always will have, and that's like the best part, and that's like something keeps us close because we get to push each other's buttons sometimes.
Yeah,
But
I can't forget we also had the one Bengali friend. He's the outlier.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
he will be here soon enough to he's a busy man too. It's hard to keep up with everyone's schedule, but you'll see him soon enough. We get him here.
He's supposed to come today.
Yeah, we get him here soon
Folded.
enough. But overall, I mean, besides your, I know, give us a little more. I know you're into a lot of other things. This might be off topic, but you're a photographer these days. Videographer stuff, all that stuff. You're doing it. How's that like going? Like, how did you get into that?
It was very random. So I see this one guy on TikTok. It was a Pakistani guy that would like do content creation, and he just watches vlogs. And I thought it was just like, yo, this is all you have to do just to like, this is documenting your life. I started doing that for a little bit, and then I had a random urge of getting into photography. So I got my first camera from my barber, a Sony A6000. That was the first camera I ever got. And I used it for a few months. I had a good time with it. Then I got a Sony A7 IV, and that was a big payment, but it was worth it because, I had a time where I was using the camera a lot. I helped record a YouTube video. I used it for photos, and then it kind of veered off a little bit, just life in general. Like I wasn't as committed to it, but then I got hit up from a cousin to help him out, and after that, I hit up one of my best friends, Chuck, who's an amazing person with filming and editing. So I can put it to you this way, where I know how to film, I know how to take photos, but the angles, the editing, and all that comes from two of my friends that I would say are a part of my team. So we have my friend Kundan, who is the photography expert. Like he's all photography. He can film, but all photography. Then we have my friend Chuck, who's all filming and editing. Like he's all about that. Then there's me. I'm the hybrid, like my car. I'm the hybrid. So if you need photos, I can do photos. I can do videos. But the editing comes from both of them. So I would say I'm like a middleman. So wherever we need more work in, I can come help out in that. So that's kind of how our team works with that, right?
The reason I asked this, just because it's so off topic, that you do this on the side, which is your side hobby. It's quite interesting. And did you, growing up, like, I know they see parents, not even brown, immigrant parents in general, or parents in general, will have this idea of like where they want their kids to be in, that top three. It's a lawyer, doctor, or an engineer. Like, did your parents have that growing up? Be like, hey, listen, man, we feel like you should become one of these three things, or even become a doctor is like a go-to for they see parents. Like, did you have that growing up, experience that?
Not really, actually. My dad was always like, do what makes you happy. Just make sure it's gonna make you a living. Okay. So you can pick any major you want. I don't care what major you pick, but just make sure it makes you a living, because there's majors out there where you cannot make a living from. But that was his one thing. And fun fact, you know how it's like our parents want us to be doctors and stuff? I started off as a biomedical engineer for 1 week at Penn State Abington. I dropped it within a week, and I went undecided within a week. I was biomedical going into Abington. I looked at the course curriculum. I said, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you like if you're an immigrant, or especially moving, I guess, from the other side of the world, like your parents, it's like always like, I remember like my parents like, oh, you should become an engineer, which I always wanted to. Then my brother, and then my sisters, everybody wants, your parents want to have the best. And the reason I always talk about this, because we have met so many like immigrants, or some overall, I'm lucky enough to have friends that are from different backgrounds. Everybody has like certain things in common when it comes to parents. It's like they were like, yo, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and that's something is really big in our culture. But I feel like it's been changing over time. People are realizing there's more out there than just 3 majors, which is, they're good majors and hard majors to do. It's not for everyone. But the reason I said, just because you are so much into, you're good at it, so why not pursue it? Like the getting to, you think you in your future you see yourself becoming a videographer or something like that?
I don't think I can see myself doing that full time, but it definitely will be a side thing because I feel like I like the IT world and I want to stick in the IT world, like a 9 to 5. I know people bash on 9 to 5s, but they're actually like, honestly, it's not bad. It's just, you guys got to have something that you like and that you're passionate about. And a lot of people be like, oh, the 9 to 5 sucks. It's a rat race, but it's not that. It's just you haven't found a job that you genuinely like doing.
Yeah.
So I like videography, photography, kind of just like that media type stuff. But I don't think I'll make it a main thing because I kind of like the stability of a 9 to 5. You have a job, you have a stability salary. Like I could be making double the salary from my side media thing. Inshallah, that becomes something in the future that I can keep have happening. But if you have a bad month, you made no money. What's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
You gotta also look at healthcare. Healthcare is really expensive now. So being at a 9 to 5 corporate job, you're getting the healthcare benefits, you're getting the retirement benefits, you're getting all these benefits where it's like, why would you drop something where you're making a good salary, number one, and number two, you're getting all these benefits. Keep that something that your passion project or your side hobby, your side business, keep it as a side, even if it's making you more than your main, to still have both. It's good to always have both. I feel like that's just how I view. Again, everyone else views differently, but that's just my viewpoint on that.
So even so from your work to everything, do you think you bring that culture with you, that culture aspect? Do you bring both culture with you in everything you do normally, or do you? Because normally if I'm doing something, I'll think about it. I'm like, okay, it will make sense, to do this, do that. But do you think you're growing up in a different household, and growing up outside the house where it was completely different, especially now you're born there rather than, you don't have the environment 24/7 with you until you got back home. Like, do you think you carry the identity or that culture aspect in anything you do, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I carry both. Just me. There's nothing more to it where I'll change the way I am just for a certain setting. Like, I'm not gonna be American when I'm out and then come home and be Indian, for example. It's just I'm American Indian. I'm gonna have the same personality I have when I'm outside and the same personality when I'm at home. It's just I feel like there's no need to change your demeanor just because you're in a different area, right? That just doesn't feel like the real you. You're just trying to play a character when you're outside in the world, and when you come back, you're just a whole different person. Which it's like we call that, what is that called? Imposter syndrome, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of, in a way, right? Because you're like being this, this person outside, but then when you come back, you're completely different. It's just, I don't like that.
That's something people have a hard time just because, different environment, different situations. Like, I know, I'm guilty of it. Like, in the beginning, I just didn't knew. Like, I guess when I moved here, like, I was like, so, like, I did things and act or, when I was. Just because I grew up in 10 years outside America, when I moved, that 10 years just didn't go away all of a sudden. But I have evolved over time where, like, now I've accepted it. Like, I have lived there enough to call this place home. I lived in Pakistan enough to, now I live with both cultures, languages, backgrounds, food, and everything else that comes with it. So that's kind of the best part, I think. And I think in your way, it's unique just because you understood those two cultures from young age, where some of us had to have to learn as we were already older, so it was different and difficult for us sometimes. But you're ahead of time, you're ahead for a lot of your friends, so you understand a bunch of things that it took us times, where there's certain things where like we still have them, like anything that before 2010 and when I moved here, I still don't know a lot of things, or not a lot of things, more so like the references to TV shows or songs. I'm like, damn, like what is this? But like compared to you make this reference, this just because you lived through those. That's, I think for you, if like, even, do you think when you moved, or when your cousin moved, you made them feel a little more comfortable being here just because you knew like what the outside world looks like for them might be different than yours?
I didn't really like speak to them like that in that type of terms when I was like in high school, but I feel like they adapted really well because they knew English already coming here. It wasn't like they didn't know. But like, so they adapted themselves really well, and I feel like we've all played a factor in each other growing, right?
Yeah.
So they helped me in the traditional aspect. I helped them in the American aspect. So we used our strengths to basically combine into one. So that's kind of how everything turned out to be.
No, that's good. I mean, or because like now I could say, like, if someone were to move, or some of my cousins, or even my family or friends, regardless, I see things differently just because now I have experience in myself. Then I know. And then if, I see someone, or like even in college when I had some more friends that just moved in, and I was like, oh, don't worry, it's fine. Like, I did the same thing, I experienced the same thing. So that also, made me closer to them. The reason I asked, just because I had to learn everything, but it's always nice to have someone that knew stuff, and you just come in and it's like, all right, it's like this person could help me out with stuff. But regardless of that, that's always been fun, the knowing you. It's all, and I cannot wait to have more of a relationship go farther and farther into the future. I know we're trying to make this trip to go back to India. We want to do this 3-country trip. We're gonna trying to hit, inshallah, hit Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, to travel and see how that different looks like. So I cannot wait to do that. Well, first, I would just want to say thank you for being here and sharing your stories. But this is a moment where I'm going to give you, and you can talk about anything. I know you're big into a lot of things you want to say out to the public. Go ahead. This is a time to let the listeners and the viewers, experience, tell what you're thinking, whatever is in your mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess I can mention, so there's this, I feel like pick up more hobbies as a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I didn't have that many hobbies, but like as I grew up, like just have some hobbies, working out, or any type, painting, whatever your hobby could be. Pick up some hobbies under your belt as a person, man, woman, whatever. Just have something interesting to talk about to someone, right? So where they can feel like in that moment, right? And like another thing is like, I understand like we're all lazy at one point, but like when it's time to go, like just keep moving, man. Just don't like sit around waiting for someone to come to you. Like if you want to do something, a business idea, or like this, your podcast, right? You wanted to do this. You were talking about it. You made it happen, right? So like when you have something in your mind, just do it. Don't sit back and be like, oh, I'll wait for it to come, because nothing's going to come to you on a silver spoon. You got to do that all yourself. People just need to be able to understand that if they want something, go get it. Don't sit down and wait for something to happen. Where again, I have been a victim of that. I have been there. Like in the past year and a half, I feel like I've grown into understanding where it's like, you need to take risks. You need to take care of yourself. That's a big thing, okay? Men especially, take care of your skin. Take care of your body. Take care of your mentals. Take care of your skin. It's okay to go to a therapist if you got to talk about your problems. It's okay to go get a mani-pedi done if your hands looking crusty and your feet looking crusty. It's okay, all right? Like, you have to take care of yourself.
The reason, especially in our culture, it's a bit difficult. I would say people judged, or like, there's a really famous saying that I think it's engraved in a lot of Desi's parents, or Desi's growing up. It's called "Lo kya kahenge."
Yeah.
It's like, I think as a community and everything, we need to kind of get rid of that phrase, or get that thing out of our head and do those things, which is a great advice to not just one person. It's just for everybody. I think that's a great advice that you were giving. I love, having, that's what the point is, like having people from different perspectives, different backgrounds, what they have learned. That's like, I know you were teaching me a lot of other things. So for that, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for that great advice you have given to our listeners. I hope people take it. On that note, I just want to say thank you to all the child lovers and biscuit fans. Thank you for listening and watching, and thank you for Ashad for being here. Thank you, and see you all later. Allah
Have
Hafiz.
a good one, everyone. Make sure y'all get Paula G, okay? Don't listen to this man, all right? Paula G, hit him up with a sponsorship, please. And thank you.